everyone, Phoenix Knight here. Welcome to the channel, and welcome to Mystical Munchies, featuring the first recipe out of our brand new cookbook, World of Warcraft: The New Flavors of Azeroth. Today we're going to start off with the appetizer, spiced onion cheese. Let's start off with a small story in here. So in Blackrock Depths, spices, onions, and cheeses are all delicious on their own, but you put them together and boy, have you got something extra special. This dip is a savory molten snack that's only a touch less spicy than the lava pits that flow beneath Blackrock Mountain. I'll be honest when I admit that the first couple of tests of this recipe disappeared before I could even copy down the ingredients. So admittedly the spice part of it's actually making me a little bit nervous, but hopefully it won't end up being too spicy. But as usual, the ingredients are waiting for us over at the table, so let's head on over there. To prepare this recipe, we need 10 ounces of grated cheese. In some combination, I've got 8 ounces of pepper jack, and I'm going to use 2 of cheddar, but it's going to be divided. So I'm probably going to use the pepper jack in the recipe, I'll use the cheddar later. Then we also need 4 ounces of cream cheese, so we've got the cream cheese container over here. That's an 8-ounce container, so that'll just end up being half of that. We also need 2 to 3 cloves of garlic, but you can see I've got a little bit more than that. 1 to 2 large shallots, which are in here. These will need to be roughly chopped, which they are. Then we've got veggie sticks for dipping later. You can also use crackers with this. I'm using celery and broccoli. Then we also need something called hot spices. And you're thinking to yourself, Phoenix Knight, what in the world is hot spices? It's actually a medley that's unique to this cookbook. So that's where all of these recipes come into play. To prepare those, we're going to need 2 tablespoons of both poppy and sesame seeds, 1 tablespoon each of minced onion and minced garlic, 2 teaspoons of coarse salt. I'm actually using regular table salt for that. Then 1 teaspoon each of fennel seed. Here's the crushed red pepper, and what they call for Sichuan peppercorns roughly ground. I'm just using coarse black pepper for this one. So the first thing we're actually going to do is we're actually going to move into the kitchen so we can prepare the hot spices. We're actually going to get a 2-for-1. Like I said, we're going to get 2-for-1 on the recipes today. We're also going to get the story on the hot spices. So this one's in Alterac Valley. Looking for a seasoning with some savory kick to it? Then this here is the mix for you. This blend includes a few Sichuan peppercorns that will leave your mouth tingling and feeling as though you're about to cast breath of fire on your meal. This is a versatile blend, so you use it as a garnish or a seasoning on anything, from baked goods to beverages, and plenty in between. The more I'm hearing about this recipe, the more nervous I'm getting, but we'll find out how this goes. So, all we're going to do is going to combine all of the ingredients in a small airtight jar and shake to mix. I'm going to use one of my containers here. This is one of my bowls. So we're going to go for the 2 tablespoons of poppy seed. I'm going to have to open this because I just got this at the grocery store this morning. Also, you might be able to hear in the background, I do have the oven preheating to 375 because I'm going to need that later on in the recipe. There we are. That took a little while longer than it should have. So 2 tablespoons of poppy seeds. Which is about half the container, so I'll have to keep that in mind when I buy containers of this size. So there's the poppy seeds, as we try to reclose that. Next we want the sesame seeds. There's the sesame seeds. That's going to be just as obnoxious, isn't it? There we are. Grab my mixing spoon and puncture it that way. I was trying to rip it off nice and neat, but obviously it decided it didn't want to cooperate with me today. Alright. So we're all done there. The sesame seeds can leave the shot as well. Next we want a tablespoon each of minced onion and minced garlic, and to the shock of, well, probably no one, I'll have to open the minced garlic for the first time. Just grab the spoon. Okay, this is annoying that they filled it. Look at this. Once I get the wrapper off. It's a little bit annoying to open it, but they almost filled it right to the brim. But, oh well. Such is life, right? Alright, so a tablespoon of minced garlic. Then a tablespoon of minced onion. Okay. We'll get those out of shot as well. Alright, so actually the spoon, we'll be able to go back down most likely. Then we need 2 teaspoons of salt. One and 2. And it's a teaspoon each of fennel seed, black pepper, and crushed red pepper. That's such an ordeal. I'd probably just go grab like a knife or something and just be done with it. Or even just grab one from right here in the kitchen. Right, there's a teaspoon. Teaspoon of fennel seed. Hey, look at that. That one peeled off nice and neat. The black pepper. So I should probably keep that 2 tablespoon container somewhat close because I'll probably end up needing that. And the red pepper. Alright, good enough. Teaspoon of that. Okay. And that can, as the lid drops on the floor. Alright, so now we'll put the lid on here, and we'll give this a shape to combine it. Okay, just take a look at that. Okay, those are our hot spices. I'll get those sealed back up, and then we'll get those off to the side, even though we don't want to go too far with those. But now we need the food processor in shot for the next step. I'm going to warn you guys right now that once I turn the food processor on, it's going to be loud. So if you're wearing headphones, you might want to take them off when I get to that point. I'll give you a warning once I get to when I'm ready for the food processor, just take off your headphones. So, with that, next we're going to combine the grated cheese. I'm going to put the pepper jack in here, and like I said, I'm going to save the cheddar later. going to save the cheddar cheese for topping later on. So we'll dump all of that in. Okay, so we've got that. Let's see if I can get... Looks like some of this is sticking, but I don't think there's any help for that. There we are. Let's see. Then we want the cream cheese, which I'm using light, and you can probably hear the oven just came up to temperature. So we want about half of this. We'll just do it like that. And we'll drop that in. Okay. Okay. Does not want to cooperate with me. Good enough. So that's the cream cheese, the garlic, and the shallots, which the shallots are right here. Those are going as well. And we'll combine that until everything is evenly chopped. I'm going to leave the camera on so I can keep an eye on the consistency here. But once I get the cream cheese back in the fridge, I'll go ahead and get this locked in place. And here, once I get this open, the hot spices, those get sprinkled on later. So here's your 5-second warning before I start using the food processor, just to take off your headphones. Okay, so it's kind of starting to smell through a little bit, and you probably saw me pulsing it carefully. I'm still, admittedly, this is my first time ever using a food processor, so I'm kind of a little nervous. I'm trying to make sure I get the consistency just so. In fact, I'm going to see if I can, there's still a little bit on top that I want to see if I can get to. Does not appear to be. Okay. Well. Alright, so that's probably about as good as it's going to get. So now what I want to do, now that I'm at a consistency I like it to be, now I want to bring it into an oven-proof dish. I'm just going to use a 9x9 pan is all I'm going to use for that. Now let's see if I can lift this. Actually, I want to unlock this so I can lift it out. I can get the blade out. What did I do with the spoon? Oh, it's actually coming out decently well, but I think I wanted a spoon so I can move it into the 9x9 pan. Oh, it's down in the dishes. Okay, so bring the 9x9 pan I'm going to use into shot. That consistency actually looks pretty good. I'll give this a quick spray just so it's a little easier to clean everything up when it's all said and done. Oh, and I grabbed a spatula as well to scoop it out. Okay, so we'll just use the spatula instead. This might be a little bit of overkill for the amount of dip I'm making, but we'll see how this turns out. I might, like I said, I might end up, if I make this again, I'm going to probably do a little bit to temper the spice, just because I'm nervous about how spicy this is going to turn out. Yeah, this container ended up being way too big. But we'll do what we can with it. I think we got most of it there, so I'll just spread it around a little bit, but yeah, this... Let me see if I have a smaller container, actually, even though I've already dirtied one dish up. Given that I'm the only one who that I'm the only one who lives here, I obviously wash my own dishes, so I think somewhat annoyingly that's the smallest container I've got, so that's what we're stuck with here. So I'll just make the best of it, I guess. We'll just spread it all around. I think that will do. So now we want the hot spices and the cheddar cheese for topping, which I put the hot spices back here. We want 2 tablespoons of these. Sprinkle that over. Okay. Then I'll put that back up. And now we want the cheddar cheese. Okay, that's a generous 1/4 cup. We'll sprinkle that over as well. Okay, so that's all done there. And now we'll want to bake this for about 15 to 20 minutes until it's melted and bubbling. We'll serve it right away with a choice of dipping snacks. So we'll bring this over to the oven. I'll go find my phone because it's got my timer app on it. Not that. Alright. We'll set the timer for 20 minutes just to be absolutely sure. Preferably without burning my hand. Alright, and then when we come back, we'll be back over at my desk ready for the taste test. I lied slightly, so I decided to sneak a peek at the dip while it was in the oven because I was a little bit nervous about it not having that much space, and it actually expanded to at least fit the 9x9 pan. So no problems there. But I did reach out to my mom while the recipe was cooking, and she suggested a bread pan. And can't believe I was a derp and didn't think of that myself, but I'll probably want to get at least one of those so I can potentially dip into bread recipes. But enough rambling on that front. The veggies are waiting at my desk, so let's go for the taste test. As I mentioned, I don't know if I mentioned this at the top, but I actually do have celery and broccoli for the taste test, and I'm going to do both of them. So this is actually smelling really oniony. I don't know if it's just the fact that I took some liberties with the amount of shallots I put in the recipe, but let's take a look. So we'll go ahead and dip this in here. Texture actually looks pretty good at first glance on this recipe. It's dripping a little bit, but I think that's just because it's liquid and maybe I left it in the oven for about 20 minutes. And there might also be a problem with the... I did spray it with non-stick spray, so let me bring it over here. I just don't want it to get on my hand. I did spray the pan with non-stick spray before I put it in, just to make it clean up a little bit easier. But let's go ahead and see how this tastes. I'll go ahead and taste it with the onion as well. I am picking up a little bit of the kick in there. All right. So I do think there's a little bit of a kick to this recipe, and spicy food and I have never really gotten along, so I think that might be part of what's at play here, but it does seem like it tastes good, and okay, yeah, it does taste fine, and it's a little on the oniony side, but I think I took some liberties with the shallots, but there definitely is a kick to this one, because I don't know if it's the hot spices or the pepper jack cheese. Maybe if I tone down, maybe if I play around with the mix of the cheese, I won't notice so much of a kick, but it is something you probably should keep in mind. But that will do it for this episode of Mystical Munchies. And that's our first recipe for the World of Warcraft New Flavors of Azeroth cookbook. Next week's episode of Mystical Munchies might go up a little bit early because I'm actually going to be busy on Saturday, so I'm thinking I'm going to put it up on Friday evening, and we'll be moving into the side dish for that one. Quiet Hounds, which at a glance look like it's just going to be hush puppies, but we'll see what happens when that recipe comes out. Thank you for watching the video. Please give the video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Be sure to turn on notifications so you get my content. Be well, stay safe, take care of yourselves and your loved ones, and I'll be back with more videos in the future. Until then, take care everyone.